can you share with us in this Jubilee of Hope the success stories that this Peace University has experienced throughout this time?
To give you just an idea of these 20 years results of peace training and peace accompaniment, is that we have 350 certified Pan-African peace builders in 30 countries in the continent.
A flicker in the night, so small yet so bright. Through shadows it fights, bringing warmth to the sight. A gentle whisper, a spark in the air. As the world feels too heavy, it's always there. Sparks of hope, light in the sky.
Your Grace,
Yes, please.
your success story, has any bishop been formed or has been formed in this active non-violence?
I was giving an example to sister when I was coming and say, look, have you ever seen a young child refusing to eat and they're angry? They didn't eat, they didn't have the mother. The mother was missing the whole day, and the mother comes and says, have your food, or even give them the milk. And the little boy or girl says, no, I don't want. I mean, they reject. And they reject because they have a complaint. The complaint maybe is the mother didn't come for lunch, or whatever the reason will be. Or they are disturbed by nobody has changed their shoes, or whatever the case would be. It tells you human beings, if they feel offended, they would like to react. And some react by just keeping quiet, others by showing signs, or even by crying. Now, as we look at our society today, you need to understand what is going on and what are these young people about? What are they objecting about? To find the core problem. Is it, do they have a stomachache, or do they have, they're identifying what they call their problems. They're identifying what they call societal problems. And they find nobody's addressing them. So they formed groups, teams, to do. If I was driving and I find a log on my way prohibiting me going across, I try alone. If I have tried alone and I can't succeed, the other drivers come and we pull it out. That's what happens in society. So it is a reaction of trying to get rid of problems or challenges that we all go through. However, you have to also have to say, if I bring this log out, what was it prohibiting? The whole reflection on the action taken and its implications. Because many times, some people react out of emotion. Somebody says a word and you just slap. And even in school, somebody didn't do well in the exam and the teacher. So you ask, is this, there's all these ways. So the point of we are looking at is there are many ways to express ourselves. That is one way. There are other ways. There's issues of also dialoguing, which are also encouraged a lot, because if you look at our world today, a lot of the wars we have we never conclude the dialogue. And the dialogue is about one person saying, I can finish you. And that becomes a continual, ever-growing. I like quoting two people myself. The Indian Mahatma Gandhi said it very loudly. He said, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. A tooth for a tooth will make all of us toothless. And this is happening. So some of the, you imagine you bang me, I bang you, and many times when there's an issue, and I'm just saying to say that a context like we have in Kenya, those we have sometimes the reaction of the Gen Zs or others, when they come on the street, there's this question of everybody has their own personal grudge. My grandmother or my grandfather didn't give me land, so he goes out to revenge, or somebody else has done something else. So we may not even have a common reason, not even a common reason. But this is where we need to calm our tempers. We look at things as they are, and we strategize. We allow ourselves to be led by reason, not by emotion, because my emotions can also bring us the wrong route. And we say that looking at our world. I don't like mentioning countries in a place like this one, but I like to say, look at the protests. There are people walking away from their countries, and then long numbers going away. They're objecting. They're saying we can't. This is dictatorship. Others are saying this is the other. But what is the better solution? That is always the question. And there's many possibilities, because once we spile and destroy, that generation remains destroyed, and the impact of it lasts forever and long time, and the grudge continues to grow. It is necessary to cool our heads and say, let's find. It's always very difficult. Every generation, there's always this uprising, depending on, again, how, again, the parent, whoever the bishop or the place is, how is reacting to this reaction of the Gen Zs or the groups or a school. You find a school has been banned. What is the grudge? It's also good to find out. Has anybody listened to the grudge? I always find interesting when I put a suggestion box in a public place after a workshop or meeting. You will find very interesting comments. Or this place should be cleaned, or even written behind your car. The car is complaining, somebody sees it's not clean. So and somebody can take a grudge over that. Who did this? But this person wants to alert you to something else. So it's us to see how do we react to it. Last but not least, I think at the moment we have a world that is really needing more than just reaction and action. Because at the end of the story it's spirals. And because of other issues that came before that, for example, the issue of poverty, and you find people of a certain place are used by others, paid by others, and of course they just want money for their bread and something else. This becomes an issue, because now whoever is paying or engaging people by giving them money, what is he exactly doing? He's not creating a solution. He's just trying to repeat. Our Kenya experience is very clear that when we started all these elections by 5 years or whatever, it becomes a moment of agitation, a moment of buying others to do wrong, buying others to destroy others. There's no freedom to act. And then you begin to be reminded that is not your friend, that is not your, and yet we were in school together, same class. We become enemies, or we live in the same village, we become enemies. Although you are different tribe and different religion and so on. This is the call, and especially our Catholic bishops, we've been very strong on this one, because we are saying if we do not contain the flame, it will burn us all and others to come. The flame has to be contained in a way that is also engaging the same people who are involved in a way to explode without burning. Explode without burning.
Yeah, and you see, sister, I think this is also can be a role, as you were asking also about, Bishop, you talk not even about your own business, let's say, as a church. And you know, priests has this role of giving this framing so that it cannot explode, but still be also welcomed and seen as an expression of something imbalanced, disturbed. Of course, we can have a long conversation also about what is the active nonviolence and how to get active nonviolence means also to understand where violence comes from. And to finally also, I'm not so much aware of the concrete situation here in Kenya and Kenya Bishops' Conference, but first of all, in the Peace University in Africa, we realize that the religious participants coming from congregation, and especially priests, they have a very, of course, we can imagine, but they have a very good basic through the theological training and the Bible study and this spirituality. That is because they were, even from young years, maybe already called for becoming a priest. What is lacking, but I realize that in some bishop conferences, the priest training is already switching towards psychological basics of violence, and of course positive non-violence, but also methods of non-violent and active non-violent action. Because this needs a professional, not necessarily professional, but it needs a knowledge of what are the mechanisms, and this is not yet very deep into the priest training. So out in the parishes, they may be also sometimes feel discouraged or not equipped with this kind of reaction, so that a flame coming out will not explode. Of course, you have the nature characters of the priests and their meditation and their prayers, so they can still give this kind of role model. But I would wish from our lay side and from the experience with hosting also priests sent by their bishops for this training, especially Caritas director and Justice and Peace directors and so on. But I would really very much encourage the bishop conferences to bring these elements into the priest training, to give them really the capacity to manage a different world which is changing and with growing challenges. Yeah.
Now, one last question. How do you integrate technology and social media in this peace-building mission without feeding into digital toxicity?
We all are consuming media in one way or another. So as consumers of media, it affects us. And therefore we react or act in the line one way or the other. You take sides when news are shared. So what do? We need to also realize to create balanced news, not biased news. For example, I have had cases, you see people watching TV one-sided. They only hear one side of the story, or they don't know the other side of the story. And of course, media are also belong to somebody. I mean, when I pick up a Catholic mirror, I know this is the Catholic mirror. It doesn't belong to another group. So we have a bias to our kind of thing, but balanced, try to bring both sides. And in particular, as church or people of faith, we try to bring the values that help to bring harmony, not to bring destruction. And you look at it from the point of view. For example, a photograph of the Holy Father going down from a wheelchair to kneel and kiss some leaders of a country and say, guys, do something about this war. It's powerful. That is a media clip, just maybe one photo. And you see the context. You know there's war there. The Pope had to come all the way, or they had been invited all the way. So how would I have seen that photo if somebody didn't take it? Social media also has a capacity to amplify that by sending it to thousands, the numbers. In the past, even when the Pope spoke, we are waiting for the bulletin to come through the Nunciture, which is also one way the church worked. But today, the Rome and as a whole setup of instruments, the Daughters of St. Paul, you remember where you all started with Abrione. And today, what we need to be said can be said now, and as many people can hear. Social media, print, TV, and others. But this should not be abused in a way. But also, like for example, when you see pictures from different countries, it makes you make a decision, feel, oh, I need to pray for these people. Oh, I need to make my contribution, whatever the contribution will be. I'm glad our friend Hubert was involved in a very direct way with an Archdiocese in Central Africa. And he worked with many people, not one, supported by other churches and other institutions. And I happen to know the story, so that's why I said, yes, it works. Coming at a way is that you find two people fighting or having a war and pass by, at least you can engage them to stop. This is where we are. The solutions of the world are being proposed in the open market. Even the solution of a difficult one like Israel and Palestine is in the public market, in the public. Without that, we will not see, we will not even be able to judge. And you can have a comment and you can say, I don't want to see this in my country. At least say, I'll avoid moments like this. So I think communication, we say it builds community, also brings other like-minded people to pray about or do something about, or collect food, collect money. Missio and the other organizations depend on this information to do programs. And even as we go back to the youth education, when you see them act like that, you wonder, why are they fighting here? There's no jobs, enough jobs. So it's challenging us to find how can we engage, even as Kenyans, to create jobs around us. So social media, public media, and we can say all forms of media are used for different things, including a small clip of just 1 second. Even a word speaks volumes. So my challenge to myself is we should not shun media. We should be able to use it positively to bring about knowledge, to bring about concerns of the larger community. And also when you're making an appeal, many can hear it at one go and take action. The impact which we'll speak about also true also for a movement, like even like Synod the other day. The Synod experience, we would not have had it in an intense way if we didn't have the media to tell us to be part of the journey. That we would be scrambling for words, but now we know it's here. So that's a part of the role of the media. Sorry, I've been spoken.
Thank you again. Yes, I can take it directly because I appreciate very much, and this also would be a part of my reflection to your question, is to take it positively. Because this is an element of change, of evolution. Yes, you can say why and where it comes from, but of course my youth is different from my life here. And my parents were maybe scared about something which we as the youngest, we cope with it, we deal it, we shape it, we integrate it in our life for all different things, you know. TV and whatever came up in my young years and so on. So again, I said we trust that the young generation growing up with this social media, they will have a way of dealing. Of course, we have abuse, We know it with the drugs, with the alcohol, with everything. But the question again from the peace educator side, my sister, is how to bring the capacity of discernment. So it's not the technology itself. It is actually maybe even an evolution, a positive evolution, to have this way of information, and as His Grace was saying, yes, it's positive. So how can I do as an individual young people, how can I do it as a group, not to abuse and not to get addicted? And this is discernment. And again, discernment is what I feel in my deeper inner, what is right and wrong. And as I'm a human being, example of God, I know what is wrong and right. Not concretely maybe, and I have to be educated, yes, and all this, but I feel it. What is well doing for me and what is well doing for my community. So if we train this discernment, we may still not avoid some abuse or as you say, some manipulation. Someone is buying a media, someone is buying an influencer to give always negative news and whatever negative impact. But if we enable everyone and the community to be resilient and to be also capable to do this discernment, then I'm not so much using these new social medias, but I trust in the final positive evolution.
Now you are parting shot. Any parting shot, deep down?
As you mentioned at the beginning also, this key word of hope. From this experience and from the examples we hear and from all different, not only the peace training of Peace University, so many initiatives. We have how many? We have a billion people in Africa, probably, or more already. I'm not very much aware. And of course there is violence, there is war, but maybe 950 million, they can solve their differences. They can solve their maybe complicated neighborhood. They can solve their tension between generations in a peaceful way, in a human way. Not very much peaceful sometimes, but in a human way. Not killing, not destroying, not blaming and all this. So we have just a small group of those people falling back to this violence and to these weapons and to this killing and to this political manipulation and whatever. So if I look at this, my key word and my closing is hope. That means we are not naive. We blame those violences and those challenges, but we have hope and trust in ourselves and in the new generation.
Thank you very much, Your Archbishop.
Thank you for this, first of all, and I appreciate we had just a good discussion. The reality is that all of us have a potential, all of us. And it is not about one religion against the other or one tribe against the other. Humanity has to be lived in full. We cannot have cities for certain tribes and other cities for other tribes. Coincidentally, we all belong together. Cities are multicultural, multi-tribal, multi-religious. And I find it very useful when we can embrace each other. I know this is not ending tomorrow or the day after, but we must call ourselves to attention. Attention. So and so, my name, your name. Is that what I'm doing correct? Is it right? And there's a signal that tells you, when you say you don't care, then you care. Something is telling you should act differently. And anyway, of course, all of us know we belong here. If we destroy this earth, where else do we go? Or we will leave you this world to live among you, only yourself. 2 hours will be not over before you go crazy because you find there's nobody in Nairobi, there's nobody in Mombasa, there's nobody in some other place. So we'll be lost in our own wilderness. So last but not least, may God bless our conversation. May God bless the daughters of St. Paul who have done such a wonderful work, and many other people today who are there on the front line giving us news, giving us encouragement. And our young people, I must admit, we're always feeling it's too late, we're getting late. Yes, we're getting late to bring peace. We need to bring peace to ourselves first and then peace to others. Those who have suffered, we want to say, Pole, sorry, God bless you. And we want to say we cannot stop praying, because that's our biggest ammunition, is that prayer, is that coming together to say, how do we do it differently? And we see it from small country to big countries. The world is yearning for peace, and peace that Christ called unique peace, so that life can be lived and lived to the full. God bless you all, and thank you once again, daughters of St. Paul, and all of you who've been watching or who have watched this. May you also become part of the ambassadors of peace, like Pope Leo the 14th, when he was elected, he comes up and said, peace, peace with you. Christ after death, and he appeared with peace with you. Yes, it is not just saying it, but living it. God bless you all. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
May the church find a place of listening, healing, and bold action to be near to the youth. And may all of us become peacemakers, ambassadors of peace, as Archbishop Kivuva mentioned, artisans of hope, and builders of a future rooted in the gospel of non-violence. May God bless each one of you who have accompanied us in these sparks of hope. And I thank in a particular way our technical team, Sister Agatha Chipulu, daughter of St. Paul, William Mutuku, and Duncan Jugona. Thank you very much, and see you next time.